The Great Divide. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Plato. As I'm scrolling through Facebook, I see a couple videos that align with my sort of thinking. Let's check them out.
The giddiness in which people on the left have responded.
Did you see all that blood that came out of his body? It was like, what?
And it's not a small handful of radicals. This is leftism on a mass scale, cheering on the gruesome death of the nicest guy, the Mr. Rogers of the right wing.
Viewing this video made me think and realize something very, very peculiar. Why is the left so violent? I mean, all the statistics point out that the right has all the guns, but aren't causing all the violence. This can't be a coincidence.
24% of people who identify as very liberal think that political violence is acceptable. That number is only 3% for conservatives. That's not an American problem, that's a left-wing problem.
As you can see by this chart conducted a survey by today.yougov.com, we can see in red where yes, violence can sometimes be justified, very liberals lean 25% of the time, while liberals lean 17% of the time, conservative, very conservative, can equally be summed up and still not reach the amount of percentage of people leaning very liberal to think that political violence is acceptable.
Gun owners are right wing for the most part, and yet our guns just don't go out and kill people. It's so weird. And so the Democrats are actually sort of admitting that they have a problem.
That is not a both sides problem. My friend is dead because of left-wing political radicalization. And if you want to cut that out, then be honest about it and look yourself in
the Covenant school shooting in Nashville, left wing or right wing? Left wing. The Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt on President Trump, left wing or right wing? Left wing. Burn down cities during the Summer of Love in the George Floyd riots, left wing violence or right wing violence? Left wing. The Waukesha Christmas Parade massacre, left wing or right wing violence? Left wing.
Watching a few more videos, I start to think, why is the left so violent? And why do they hate everything the right does, whether it's good or bad? Why do they hate?
Tell me what just happened.
The people in the back of the car, right behind you, said that you're a Trump supporter, and just to let us know.
So they warned you
Yes.
that the car in front of them, which is me,
Yes.
is a Trump supporter.
Yes.
And what do they think you were supposed to do with that information?
I don't know, treat you differently,
Wow.
but that's crazy.
Wow,
How
that is.
society is now.
Do you see how Democrats are and liberals?
Yeah.
They're so mean. They're trying to get me bad service because of my political
That's
beliefs.
crazy.
I know.
I met you in the club, okay? And you, like the movie Django, you are the character of Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know the exact, terminology, but, not Uncle Tom.
First of all, it sounded like that was a non-black person telling me that. So as a Democrat, that sounds pretty racial and pretty divisive. Next, it's very interesting that I, again, would be called names or be compared to fictional characters because of who I choose to support.
After scrolling through a couple more videos on my phone, I hatched an idea about paid protesting. That's right, paid protesting. We had to go out and ask a few questions to a few unsuspecting bystanders.
Hi, I'm Gavin Hahn.
All right, Gavin. So what do you think of the rise in political violence by the left?
I think it's a very dangerous road to go down. I think it's there could be a lot of bad things that could happen, and I can't believe that they approve of such terrible things.
I'm Liam.
All right, Liam. So what do you think of the rise in political violence by the left?
I think it's kind of gross. It is gross. I think it's very dangerous for both sides of the aisle to be, or for everybody in general to have violence like that going on, and for it to be okay like that, it's definitely not good. And it's mainly on the left,
Hi, my name's Mason Fouquet.
All right, Mason. What do you think about the rise in political violence by the left?
The rise in political violence by the left. I think that in the last few years, more than ever, it's become prevalent. I think that there's a plethora of contributing factors, but many of that being godliness in society, the media, pandering to whatever belief that you want to become, trying to maybe differentiate yourselves and fitting into a fringe group and trying to be different. I think that everything that has been pushed on us as people, right and left, from the media, I think that plays a huge part, because you notice like news nowadays, it's so violent. And you notice how God's not in schools. The Pledge of Allegiance isn't one nation under God anymore. It's crazy. It's like they're trying to change things. And, of course people are going to have bad reactions to that. So no, I'm not surprised by hearing the political violence from the left has arisen.
All right, Gavin, how does it make you feel knowing that the left favors political violence more than the right?
Kind of scared in a way, more nervous. It's like if I come to engage in a dialogue with someone that believes something different than me, I might be attacked or defamed online or some other thing like that. And so it kind of makes me nervous to engage in a conversation.
All right, Liam, how does it make you feel that the left favors political violence more than the right?
It's the way it makes me feel is obviously it's just like it's not okay. I mean, nobody should be favoring violence in general. I mean, violence is terrible for a reason, and they're just, I think more than the right, yeah, it shouldn't be happening at all, though, if we're being honest. But yeah, it is happening more often on the left. You see it with Charlie Kirk, you see it with the 2 assassination attempts on Trump. I mean, it's happening way more. And the school shootings, like they're by trans ideology, the Nashville shooter, the Minnesota shooter. And we're seeing it's mainly not even like the left, like as a political, it's trans ideology is the bottom root of a lot of it. Like it just came out that Trump's protester, Thomas Crook, was going by they, them pronouns on some of his social media pages. And we already know that the guy who shot Charlie was also into furries and the trans identity in a way with his roommate. And so that's kind of just like the bottom root of what it is.
Next question, Mason. How does it make you feel when the left favors political violence more than the right?
The left favors political violence more than the right.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprised at all. So you think back to 2020, for example, George Floyd, we all know what happened. What did the left do? They rioted, they looted, they destroyed grocery stores. In Minneapolis, Target was bombed within the next day. I mean, I don't understand the absolute hatred, anger, and violence that comes from these people. It's crazy to me. Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck in front of his family and many thousands of his supporters, his employees, his coworkers, his private security detail. And what did we do on the right? We came together, we prayed, and we spent time with our families. So I'm not surprised at all to hear the left favors political violence because I already knew that.
Mm. All right, Liam, last question. What do you think of the rise in paid protesting?
I think it's weird. Like, you would think that protesting should be natural. That's kind of the idea. If there's really an issue that's that prevalent and that much of a problem, that people are going to have no problem rising up against it. This just shows you that the paid protesters that you see out there the issues aren't mainstream. They're just having the loudest voices, but they are really the minority. And, I mean, like the No Kings protest, for example, those are a lot of paid protests, and they're just protesting Trump because he's Trump. They're not and he's not a king. That's what I don't understand. Like, he wouldn't be if he was really a king, these protests weren't going to happen. But I think it's just weird that you have George Soros funding these protests and other rich people, but they're out against the billionaires, even though billionaires are the ones that are paying for their protests. So it's just an interesting concept. And I mean, I don't think it's illegal. I just think it's kind of just obvious.
All right, Mason. Why do you think there's a rise in paid protesting?
That's a good question. I think there's a rise in paid protesters more than ever nowadays because as the parties become more and more veering from the line that it used to be, you look at 1960s Republicans and Democrats compared to today, everything's changed. And I think that the more extreme parties get, specifically the left, because obviously a lot of that extreme viewpoint comes from them. I think that more than ever, people are realizing that they maybe don't want to associate with something that's so unhinged or so different from what it used to be. And so they think, well, I don't need to go out and protest this because I don't need to support that. And, I don't need to be on the street doing this because then I'm just going to be, committed violence against and people are going to see my face online and I'm sure people don't want that. So I'm pretty sure, at least in my own thought here, I could see why paid protesters would be a rising factor, given the fact that everything's become so extreme. People don't want to show their face, and they don't want to be subject to violence just for expressing their beliefs in public.
Hi there, my name is Chris, and what I think about the rise of political violence, specifically on the left, look, this is something that's not new. In 2020, the Summer of Love with BLM and Antifa destroying the country, basically, causing nearly $10 billion in damages. You saw what happened with Charlie in September. Of course, President Trump was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania in July of last year, and then he had another assassination attempt on his life. Look, I don't think that they can make the argument that it's both sides. It's definitely a one-sided issue. Of course, they're going to bring up January 6th all the time. As far as why does the left like it, look, I think it's their way of saying we are upset at the status quo. We don't like what this administration is doing, and we're furious. And as far as it being, funded, basically, that's not a good look. I mean, they're clearly paid for the No King's Day rallies. I think they were even funded by the Communist Party of America, funded by George Soros, funded by these left-wing NGOs as well. And it's very disappointing for sure. And I will say that look, they're gonna say that, they're not being paid, or they're gonna basically say their own stuff. But of course I know it's not true. I know that they're bought and paid for. No King's Day, you name it, all of it, they're all being paid for. And I guess it just goes to show you what the left really is about.
All right, Chris, thank you so much.
Where's the evidence for these paid protesters? Well, here's one from Ground News. Trump links Soros to protest funding. And here's another one from Ground News, where it says requests for paid protesting skyrocket 400% ever since the Trump administration. And we see more of these protesters by none other than the left.
This is Tim Frentzen, the spokesperson for Atlanta's DSA. You can find him literally at every single Atlanta protest, but how can Tim afford to do this? I'm exposing one paid protester for every 100 new followers. You may remember Nate from our previous video where we revealed how protesters who organize for the Democratic Socialists of America are paid through their partnership with Communication Workers of America. Let's investigate this partnership further. CWA funnels members' dues to activist organizations like the DSA, who utilizes those funds to operate and organize. CWA and DSA's relationship dates back to 2017, when DSA's national staff unionized under CWA's Washington-Baltimore News Guild, making DSA staff the first in the nonprofit socialist organizing space to unionize. They signed a brand new agreement in 2024, extending their partnership to 2027. Notice how they partner up when President Trump is in office. The 2024-2027 collective bargaining agreement between DSA's unionized staff and the National Political Committee, which acts as the political body of the DSA, includes salary ranges of $80,000 to $103,000 for organizers. According to DSA's 2023 IRS Form 990, they allocated significant portions of the budget to national staff salaries and chapter grants. Want to get $80K to organize and represent? Here's a job application on CWA's website for that. As a lead representative, your job is to organize and represent. Want to be spokesperson for a local chapter, like Tim here, who we'll expose next? Just apply here for an annual salary of $100K. You can be like Tim and tell me you're too tired for an interview.
That interview with us now? A couple questions from us?
I'm busy right now, man. I'm volunteering today. I don't have time. I'm not here for content for you. But good luck.
Maybe next
time. Happy
I just want to say thank you so much for doing this today for us. We really appreciate it. If you guys wouldn't have not sent him to do this, you would have not expressed how terrible this is.
We've seen your channel.
Yeah, I know, because I've expressed to DSA for taking money from the People's Forum and doing everything.
A lot of views.
I do. And
Happy Labor Day.
The reason why I get a lot of views is because you guys take money from the Chinese government and don't like freedom of speech, and you guys are now running a candidate in New York
I also
City.
can make up facts too. But have a good day.
Like
I'm a
Roy
volunteer.
Singh, right? In the People's Forum?
Make sure to follow to see Tim being exposed.